I don't know what's crazier, Saints Row the Third itself or the fact that I stuck it out long enough to get the platinum. Some platinums test your patience. This one tested my sanity. Saints Row the Third Remastered is absolute chaos from start to finish, and chasing the platinum felt like trying to out-crazy the Saints themselves. This game doesn't care about realism, it doesn't care about logic, it only cares about being as over the top as possible. From skydiving into gunfights or driving tanks down crowded streets and calling in airstrikes on random pedestrians, Saints Row the Third gives you permission to cause mayhem in ways no other game does. When I decided to go for the platinum, I already knew what I was signing up for. A game that's loud, ridiculous, and unapologetically dumb. And in the best way possible. But I didn't expect to have this much fun going into Saints Row the Third in 2025. The city of Steelport is pure chaos, full of wild side activities, gang wars, and unforgettable characters. Every mission feels like someone in the dev room said, "How can we make this more insane?" and then actually did it. The platinum itself wasn't brutal, but it definitely tested my endurance between completing every activity, buying out the entire city, and grinding through those final challenges. There were moments that felt endless, but here's the thing, every second of it still felt like entertainment. Saints Row the Third doesn't take itself seriously for even a moment. And that's what makes it work, because somehow, amidst the explosions, chaos, and sheer absurdity, this platinum reminded me that gaming is supposed to be fun. And that's why this one stands out. It's not about perfection, it's about pure, unfiltered enjoyment. Originally released in 2011 and developed by Volition, Saints Row the Third took an open world genre and flipped it on its head. Where Grand Theft Auto leaned into realism, Saints Row leaned into absurdity. Wild characters, ridiculous weapons, and storylines that felt like they were written on a dare. The remastered edition released in 2020 upgraded the visuals and improved lighting, textures, and models, while including all of the game's DLC. Players once again step into the shoes of the boss, the leader of the Third Street Saints, as they battle rival gangs and corrupt military force for the control of Steelport. Gameplay blends over-the-top action with outrageous humor, customizable characters, overpowered weapons, and non-stop mayhem. The trophy list mirrors that chaos. You'll need to complete every activity, upgrade all the weapons, and achieve 100% world completion. It's time-consuming and full of moments that'll make you feel laugh, rage, and shake your head in disbelief. That's the kind of platinum that captures the spirit of Saints Row perfectly. Loud, wild, and unapologetically fun. Now to start off the platinum journey, I started off by looking up a guide on PSN Profiles. Now the only relative guide I could find for this game came from the PS3 version of the game when it originally came out. Now I am playing the remastered version on PS5, but the PS3 version of the guide still holds up to this one perfectly. Now I do have a lot of experience with this game and the series. I originally played Saints Row the Third back on Xbox 360 and spent a lot of time with my friends in this city. This game ended up making me spiral into buying the first two games, and I absolutely fell in love with both of them, with Saints Row 2 being my favorite, and having some of my favorite gangs within the series. Also, I have played a bit of Saints Row 4, but I hate it. Now, unfortunately, I did end up buying it because it was on sale at the same time I bought Saints Row the Third, so I probably will eventually play it and go for the platinum just to say I did it. But anyways, that's not why you're here. Back to the guide on PSN Profiles. It said the game should take roughly 40 hours, but knowing I have a ton of experience with this game, I knew exactly how I wanted to approach this one. Now, jumping into the game, you are introduced to the three most iconic Saints, Johnny Gat, Shaundi, and the boss, aka you. But right now, it is time to rob a bank. Fast forward and you realize the bank is no ordinary bank. These dudes have assault rifles. You end up dislodging the vault finally and get a helicopter to take it from there. But that isn't before a whole SWAT team got called in. At the end of it all, no matter what you do, you will have to face off against the entire SWAT force. You end up getting arrested along with the other Saints, but at the end of the mission, I got the trophy, Dead Presidents. Then you realize that even though you paid a lot of money to the cops, someone paid more to arrest you. You get brought in by a group called the Syndicate, which is basically multiple smaller gangs which form a larger entity. You are met by a French guy, who he then informs you that you either submit to join the Syndicate and they're going to take a bunch of your money, or they're going to kill the Saints and wipe out your entire empire. Now if you played this game before, you know that Johnny Gat and the boss don't really play nice with others, so they decide to destroy everyone on the plane. This ends up with one of the most iconic Saints passing away, but it ends up with one of the coolest plane scenes where you're falling out and manage to land in the windshield of the plane as it tries to hit you just to jump back out of it to save Shaundi as she was falling. But after that mission, we walked away with another trophy, the Welcome Wagon. After this, I got into the city of Steelport, and it was all about setting up the Saints within the new city. A majority of the missions at the beginning involved taking properties from the Syndicate, and just trying to establish ourselves within the city of Steelport. But during the time frame, I managed to get my first upgrade from the upgrade store on the phone and got the trophy A Better Person. I then finally got one of the most iconic missions from this game, or at least to me one of the most iconic ones, which has stuck with me for years after playing this game because it involves you taking over your very own penthouse within Steelport. Now the reason this mission stands out to me is because you get to jump out of a helicopter, land, and decimate all of the Morningstar, all while jamming out to Stronger by Kanye West. When I originally played this game back in the day, this was one of the best missions within this game, just based off the sole fact of how the music lets this mission have such a sweet vibe to it. But once we managed to take over the penthouse and disarm the bomb, we get the trophy, Opulence, You Has It. Next, I had to watch a cutscene between the boss and Pierce talking about how we weren't done within the city and that we were only just beginning, and with that came a trophy, We're Taking Over. In between missions, I was making it a point to run around and try to purchase all the properties I could. And at this point in the game, I'm a little limited on money, so I began to also complete all the activities within the city to make as much money as I could. The reason I did this was because this is not a crazy long story. So as I was in each district, I wanted to try to complete as many activities, buy as many properties, and do as much stuff as I could to help make the end game a little bit easier. So while I was clearing out some activities, I would use that money to end up purchasing different properties and stores to then increase my hourly income. But while I was actually hitting a rival gang operation, I managed to hit a rival member in the nuts and got the trophy, Ow My Balls. On the way to continue the story, I kept hijacking cars and got the trophy, Bo Dukem.
Have a nice day!
The next thing that happened was I reached a crossroad within the story. It was actually the end of Act 1, and this meant I actually needed to finish the mission in both ways possible. So I made a separate save file, and I managed to finish the mission with both endings, and I got 2 trophies, Tower Defense and Kaboom. Now, as for the actual ending I decided to go for on my main save file was actually saving the building and not letting the bomb blow up, because you actually walk away with 10% more cash on all activities and missions. And in this game, money is everything. It allows you to do so much. So to have a 10% increase this early means a lot more to me than an increased rep. At this point, finishing the first act opens up a lot more of the game. So with the new activities I opened up, I continued to complete them. While doing that, I completed all the instances of Guardian Angel and got the trophy, Go Into the Light. While also doing this, I finished my first challenge and got the trophy, Shake and Bake. I do wish I paid more attention to the challenges, assassinations, and car thefts earlier in the game, because I left these for last, and it made it a major pain. But whatever, I continued on with the main story, and while finishing some of the missions, I actually got 2 trophies. Haters Gonna Hate for killing 1,000 gang members, and Jellin' Like Magellan for exploring every hood in Steelport. The next main mission I did was the mission called The Hobo, which upon finishing it was supposed to unlock a trophy, which it didn't. So I closed the game and continued with the main story, and it never popped. And I was actually pretty annoyed about this, because I really didn't want to have to go back and replay this game just to get this one trophy, because my previous save file was at the end of Act 1. But I forgot about it, and I continued on with doing the activities and gang operations within Downtown District, and after a little bit of time, I managed to get 100% takeover, and I got the trophy Hanging with Mr. Pierce. And when I was looking at this trophy, I decided to double check my list, and I had the trophy Gotta Break 'Em In, which was the trophy I missed earlier for completing the mission The Hobo. So I was very happy to see this one finally popped, because now I didn't have to go back and redo it. Now, I had full access to the new members of the Saints crew, which also meant that I was in the Luchador and Deckers territory. I did what I did earlier, and I focused on side activities, and I managed to complete all instances of insurance fraud and got the trophy Ouch. When I was continuing the main story, I met the famous Nightblade and got to dress up with Viola. Now, if you didn't know, Viola is a former Syndicate member turned Saint, but she helps us kidnap Nightblade from an anti-gang member unit called Stag, and when we finished the mission, we got the trophy I Heart Nightblade. As we go further into the main story, the second gang that you will actually slowly dismantle and take down is the Deckers, which we actually managed to face off against the Deckers leader, Matt, in the virtual world that he built, and we won. At the end of the mission, we got to pick if we wanted a discount on firearms or cars, and I typically always choose to go with the discount at Friendly Fire because it's less money that you have to spend to upgrade your weapons. But with this mission finally done, I also got the trophy KillDeckers.exe. But this wasn't the ending of Act 2, no. The actual ending involves Shaundi getting kidnapped, and the boss as well as Pierce and Viola mounting a rescue mission. We ended up blowing up a Stag aircraft carrier, and then soon after that, we ended up getting the trophy Titanic Effort. Now, the first thing I did when entering Act 3 was also focus on the activities and buying all the stores and properties that I had left. The first thing I completed was the Heli Assault, and when I finished it, I got the trophy, and boom goes the dynamite, for finishing all instances of Heli Assault. Next, I wanted to focus on finishing the main story. The first thing I did was meet the mayor, Burt Reynolds, and fought off some zombies and got the trophy Once Bitten, Brains. Then I helped Angel get his mask back and helped him take down a bunch of wrestlers so I could eventually face off against Killbane, and after winning Murder Brawl 31 and demasking him, and I chose to demask him, I got the trophy Murder Brawl 31. The final mission within this game also has 2 different endings. Now, when I initially finished this mission, I typically always opted to save Viola and Shaundi, because I wasn't going to sacrifice my girls. With this ending, it does trigger the ending that involves filming a movie that comes with the trophy Gangstas in Space. At some point earlier in the campaign, I did switch from a male character to a female character, and at this point I got the trophy Gender Equality, which was just playing for 2 hours as a male and a female. Now with that, I was practically done with the main story for this game. I did have to go back and finish one more mission, but that can wait till later. So now I have 2 goals, 100% each district and find all the collectibles. I actually only had a few properties and stores left and a couple gang operations to finish in the Deckers territory. So I actually knocked those out first and I got the trophy Hack the Planet. Now it was time to clean up the remaining 2 districts I had and finish off the activities, and as I was cleaning them up, I got the following trophies. Have a Reality Climax, Pork Chop Sandwiches, Thank You Very Much, Your Backseat Smells Funny, Double Dose of Pimping, Tune In and Drop Off. That was all of the activities finished within the city. Next was to finish off the remaining gang operations, and I actually decided to clear the rest of them out using a VTOL and just hit them with missiles because it made it so much faster, and I managed to finish off the final one and got the trophy Flash the Pan. And when I finished that last gang operation, I actually got 100% in the New Colvin district and got the trophy Morning Stars. Now all I had left was to finish off my last Mayhem activity and I would be completely done with the activities within the game. And I did finally realize that you could bring a tank, leave it somewhere, and then jump into it after starting, and after 2 attempts, because actually on the first attempt my game crashed, I'm not sure why, but on the second attempt I was finally able to complete it and I walked away with 3 different trophies: Fence Killer 2011, You're the Best, Bright Lights Big City. Now the very next thing I did was unlock the upgrade to see all the collectibles on the map, and after about an hour of driving and flying to all the different locations, I finally finished and collected my final collectible and walked away with 2 different trophies: Getting the Goods, Life of the Party. Before going for the second ending in Act 3, I actually decided to knock out a bunch of different trophies, so let's run through these. Love-Hate Relationship, for taunting or complimenting 50 different gang members. Cowboy Up, for upgrading a weapon in each slot to max level. The American Dream, for customizing 10 different vehicles. Who Loves Your Baby, for killing 50 brutes. Now, I did also, before finishing the main story, focus on doing some of the car thefts to knock out some of these extra challenges before I got to the very end of the game. So after a bit of time, I got the trophy Hijack It. Now this was the time I decided to go back and finish the second ending for the main mission. And at the end of it, when I finally managed to take down Stag and Killbane, I walked away with the trophy Too Close to the Sun. Next, I focused on upgrading my flashbang so I could get 25 kills with the upgrade Fart in a Jar. And after only a few throws, I managed to walk away with the trophy Stay Classy Steelport. Now if you're wondering, I did use the penetrator way earlier on in this playthrough. I just didn't feel like there was a need to talk about that. I managed to save up enough money within the game and upgrade one of my strongholds to level 3, and I got the trophy Pimped Out Pad. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the game, but I had a bunch of different assassination missions as well as 10 different challenges left. So after like 2 days of playing, and I was only briefly playing because these challenges were extremely mind-numbing to do, but I finally managed to get myself through it, and I got the 2 following trophies. Everything is Permitted, and You're My Hero. Now at this point I had 1 trophy left, which involved reaching 30 hours in Steelport. And when I went to save the game, I had about 26 at the end. So I literally had to let my PlayStation run for like 4 hours, and I walked away and just did other things within my house. And I finally walked away with the trophy 3rd and 30. And with that, the Platinum trophy finally popped. Kingpin. And we were finally done. Now, how was the Platinum? Was this game as good as I remember it? Was the Platinum worth it? Would I recommend this game to any trophy hunter? Truthfully, this game was just about as fun as I remember it being when I was growing up. But what I will say is, the Platinum was somewhat more of a nightmare of an experience. The game is absolutely fantastic, but there are so many different collectibles within this, plus you have to complete so many small little activities that just really aren't necessary. Like the best example I can give you at the end is I had to do all the vehicle thefts, which there's 36 of those, all the different assassinations, which I believe there's either 32 or 36, and all 41 different challenges. And at some point I felt like it was just way too much. And even after I finished and looked back, it seemed so unnecessary. There felt like there was no reason why I needed to do any of those extra things. The challenges alone would honestly stray me away from telling you to go for this Platinum. But if you're a glutton for punishment and you can stick it out, by all means, go for it. They're not hard at all. but it feels more tedious than anything. But anyways, my name is Mitch and thanks for stopping by GamerRN. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe. Comment any games or series of games you want to see me platinum or 100% for future videos. And thanks again for stopping by. I'll see you in the next one.